Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. So what is this, week 5? Week 5 of college football picks. Wild week, last week. Before we get started, the Bloomington Buddies podcast that me and Eddie started. If you notice, we haven't been posting on there, and there's a reason for that. Is we've been waiting to get into this podcast room that's in part of the media school here at IU. There's a podcast room that they let people use. And we're trying to get our we were trying to get our podcast affiliated with IU TV. And we were able to actually get into the podcast room yesterday, and we recorded an episode. I'm not sure if you're actually going to end up seeing it. We may just use it as a test. It was pretty good, but we still haven't gotten the information from it. But there will be consistent uploads on there very, very soon. So I'm going to link that channel in the description. Make sure if you haven't already, subscribe to Bloomington Buddies, because we got some good stuff coming. But let's see what we got here in terms of college football games. There are some good ones, some very good ones. So let's get it underway. In-state rivalry on Thursday, Utah State and BYU. BYU definitely the better team. Utah State, I'm sure they'd love to steal one from their in-state rival, but I don't think it's going to happen. Give me BYU. Middle Tennessee State pulled off the upset of the week, knocking off Miami, embarrassing Miami. Miami looked bad in that game. It's UTSA, who's one of the better Group of 5 teams now. Had a good season last year. They're looking good this year. I'm going to think Middle Tennessee State's a little high off that upset win. I would take, if I was a betting man, definitely take Texas San Antonio. Washington and UCLA. Washington's favored. They're ranked. But I like UCLA's chances at home. I don't know when it comes to their games. Have you seen pictures of their stands? It's just empty. It's sad. But I'm going to still take UCLA. They still got a solid team. Michigan and Iowa. Now, in the preseason, I picked Iowa. Because I'm like, this could be a trap game for Michigan. Blah, 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 blah. But, first off, Iowa hasn't looked that great. Second off, this game isn't at night. If this was at night, Kinnick at night is impossible to win. So the fact that it's a day game, I feel helps Michigan. And Michigan's looked really good. They've looked a lot better than I thought they would. Not a lot better, but they looked better than I thought they'd be. I think Michigan's a safe pick here. Maybe Iowa will hang around. I wouldn't be surprised if Iowa won, but I'm not expecting it. So give me Michigan. Ole Miss and Kentucky, 2 teams. This is their first SEC game. For both of them, they're both undefeated. Both are in pursuit of a divisional title, even though it's going to be hard. They both got some better teams ahead of them. I like Ole Miss in this one. I like that it's at home. I think Kentucky's a good team, but I think they're a little overranked. I'm not saying that they don't deserve to be ranked 7th. I'm just saying I don't think they're the 7th best team. As though they're ranked 7 or 8. I like Ole Miss at home. I just think it's going to be too much for Kentucky to handle. I'm going to take Ole Miss. Oklahoma, TCU. Oklahoma, bad loss last week against Kansas State. But TCU, they're not that great. I think Oklahoma rebounds. Purdue and Minnesota. Man, is Purdue now looked good. Lost to Penn State. Okay, that was a great game. First week of the season, right? Then they lost to Syracuse. And they almost, and maybe should have, lost to Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic, FAU almost beat them. But yeah, Minnesota has been looking great. They trashed Michigan State last week, and now they got Purdue at home. The way Minnesota's been looking, I got an easy win here for them. Kansas State and Texas Tech, 2 teams riding high off their upset wins this past week. Kansas State, of course, beating Oklahoma on the road. Texas Tech, of course, beating their in-state rivals, Texas at home. Coin flip game for me, honestly. I'm going to take Kansas State because they're at home. Wisconsin and Illinois, 2 teams that just haven't looked great this year. Illinois hasn't lost since they played IU week 1. I'm going to take Wisconsin. Utah and Oregon State. Oregon State was so close to pulling the upset against USC. I picked Oregon State too. I picked Oregon State to upset USC, and they were winning the majority of the game. USC scored a late touchdown to go up 7-3 the whole game. USC scored a late touchdown to go up 10-7. Oregon State marched down and scored with a minute left to take the lead 14-10. USC got a touchdown with under a minute to go, and they hung on. Now they got to go on the road to Utah. I think Oregon State's going to lose. I think Utah wins. Ohio State and Rutgers. I mean, why is this game even on the board? It's going to be Ohio State by at least 50. Baylor and Oklahoma State. This is going to be a good game. These two teams, of course, made it to the Big 12 title last year, and they're definitely, from what I've seen, especially from Texas and Oklahoma, the best two teams in the Big 12 again this year. Baylor's at home. Oklahoma State beat them in the regular season last year at home. And plus, Baylor's got the one loss already, so they got to fight for every win if they want any sort of playoff chances. I'm going to take Baylor. I think they're a better team than Oklahoma State. I think they win. Wake Forest and Florida State. Who would have thought Florida State would be ranked 4-0? They're looking great. Wake Forest, couldn't quite pull it out against Clemson. Took them to double overtime, but just didn't have enough in the tank. Florida State's at home, but I think Wake Forest is the way better team. I hate to say it. I think Florida State's gotten a little lucky. They kind of got lucky with that game against LSU, and they haven't really played anyone that decent since. And they got a good win at Louisville, but I'm feeling Wake Forest in this one. Kansas and Iowa State. Nobody thought. I literally gave. I said Kansas would win one game. I think I said they would win one game. They're 4-0 already, so it shows what I know. They play Iowa State, who just got beat by Baylor on the road. That was a great win for Baylor. It's hard to win out Iowa State. Iowa State's the favorite in this game. Kansas, here's the thing. No one goes to Kansas football games, right? No one cares. They're just a basketball school. Well, they actually sold out their stadium for the first time in like 7 years or something. They had a sellout against Duke. I'm anticipating another sellout. They got the most votes to be ranked of non-ranked teams. I'm going to say Kansas rises to the occasion and gets that win and go to 5-0. Man, no one would have thought that. I'm taking Kansas. Maryland and Michigan State. Man, does Michigan State look bad. They've been trashed 2 weeks in a row by Washington and Minnesota. Now they're going to at Maryland, who didn't look too bad against Michigan, hung in there for the majority of the game. I'm going to take Maryland. Tulia Tagovailoa, Tua's little brother. I think they get a win here. All right, this is the hardest game for me to predict. I swear to God, it was the hardest. Mississippi State is a 3.5-point favorite against Texas A&M at home. Now, A&M has Bama next week. So they could be looking ahead. Although, A&M's looked good their last 2 weeks. They beat two good teams in Miami. I don't know about that. But at the time, they were good. Miami and Arkansas. Once again, they kind of got lucky against Arkansas because of that fumble at the goal line, and he handed it off, that big 99-yard play. They would have lost if they didn't have that play. But the main reason I'm taking A&M is because Mississippi State runs the air raid, and I think it's going to be pretty predictable for A&M. And here's the thing. When it comes to hostile road environments, defense travels. And A&M is a defense-first team, so I think their defense will be able to shut it down, and their offense can score enough to win. They really need to improve their offense, though. I mean, they really do. They only had like 17 points of offense against Arkansas, only 17 against Miami, only 14 against App State. I mean, get the offense going, A&M. Get it going. LSU and Auburn, man. Apparently there were reports that Brian Harsin was going to get fired if they lost to Missouri. Well, it was 14-14. Got into overtime. Missouri fumbles the ball on the goal line. Auburn's just a bad team. I mean, it's only a matter of time till the walls come crashing down on Auburn. And to be honest, they already have, with Penn State beating them by 1,000,000 points. I think LSU's going to beat them. And I'm not sure if they'll win another game the rest of the year. Because what? They're not beating Ole Miss. They're not beating Bama. They're not beating Georgia. They're not beating Mississippi State. I mean, it's going to be bad for Auburn. It's just a matter of time. And to be honest, it's already happened. It's good. It's coming. It is coming. Georgia and Missouri. Georgia should win by a ton. I mean, Missouri, yay. I mean, they're not as good as Auburn, so that tells you something. Texas and West Virginia. I mean, I guess I'll go with Texas, just because West Virginia hasn't looked that impressive. Well, neither has Texas. They're both 2-2. I'll take Texas. They're at home. IU and Nebraska. Nebraska's a 5.5-point favorite. I don't know why. What, they lost to Northwestern? They lost to Georgia Southern? And you think they're going to beat IU? I mean, IU's not great by any stretch of the imagination. But they're a hell of a lot better than Georgia Southern and Northwestern. Give me IU on the road. Give me IU. If they lose to Nebraska, I'll be really upset because that means bowl eligibility. If they can't beat Nebraska, if IU wants to get to bowl eligibility, they're gonna have to win this game. So if they can't beat Nebraska, they're not beating Michigan, they're not beating Maryland, they're not. Maybe they'll beat Rutgers, but like, we'll see. They got to win this game. This is a big game for IU. They got to win. And Nebraska, if they start 1-4, oof. Georgia Tech and Pitt. I mean, Georgia Tech's just a dead football program. They fired head coach Jeff Collins. About damn time they fired him. Hopefully they can get a coach in there that knows what he's doing. But as of now, they're just circling the drain. And they got to go to Pitt, and Pitt's gonna kill them. Arizona State, USC. There's another team that just fired their coach. They got rid of Herm Edwards. Apparently, like assistant coaches at Arizona State were tipping off the other team to try to give them an advantage, so they would lose to get Herm Edwards fired. I'm not sure if I believe that, but it's been rumored. Whatever. USC's a great team. I think they're a top 5 team in the country. They look legit. So give me USC. Virginia and Duke. Duke was 3-0. Kind of came back to reality in the basketball bowl between Kansas and them. I think Virginia's going to beat them. And then Oregon and Stanford. Oregon's looking a lot better, man. Looking a lot better. Came back and beat a good Washington State team on the road. They should handle Stanford at home. All right. These are 2 really big feature games. First, Alabama and Arkansas. Now, Arkansas, coming off a loss, they just suffered their first loss to Texas A&M. But here's the thing. Bama. I mean, okay, they murdered Vandy, as they should. Ask yourself this: is Arkansas better than Texas? Well, they beat Texas last year. I would say so. I think Arkansas is better than Texas. So this is giving me flashbacks to the game last year when Bama played A&M and ultimately lost. Because A&M was coming off a loss, I think, to Mississippi State. And then they had a ruckus home environment, which Arkansas will have, and they ended up beating them. And I think we can see the same thing. Alabama has not impressed me that much. And they struggled on the road against Texas, and I think Arkansas is a way better team than Texas. If KJ Jefferson can come out and make plays, and Arkansas's defense can hold their own, the key is you got to pressure Bryce Young, because Alabama's offensive line has looked suspect this year. I'm going to take a gamble and hope I'm right. I'm backing the Hogs. Give me the underhog. Give me the Arkansas Razorbacks. I'm saying they pull the upset. Alabama is 17.5-point favorites. I would hammer Arkansas plus 17.5. I would hammer that if I was a betting man. I'd be all over that. So I'm telling you, I got a feeling. Because Bama has not looked invincible this year. Because here's the thing. They almost lost at Texas. We found out they're no good. Let me tell you this. If they can barely beat Texas on the road, how confident are you that they beat Arkansas on the road? How confident are you that they beat Tennessee on the road? How confident are you that they beat A&M at home? I think they'll beat A&M at home. This also could be a trap game for Alabama. Because all throughout the offseason, they want a shot at A&M. Because they want revenge at A&M so badly. So badly they want revenge at A&M. And that's been their biggest game all year, especially with the bickering back and forth between Saban and Jimbo. Is this a trap game? I don't know. I'm taking the Hogs. And lastly, this is the biggest game of the week. NC State and Clemson. Winner, are these two in the same division of the ACC? I'm not sure. I'm going to check. Are they in the same division? I think, yeah, they are. I forgot, all the good teams are in one division. Clemson, Florida State, Syracuse, NC State, Wake Forest are all in one division. And the only other good team in the other division is Pitt. And was Miami, but we know Miami no good. All right, so ask yourself this. Who do you think is a better team, Wake Forest or NC State? I feel like most of you would say NC State. I think Wake Forest is a better team than NC State. I like the fact that Clemson has this game at home, too. And this is also a revenge game, since NC State, of course, beat Clemson last year. Winner of this game is probably winning this. If Clemson wins, they're winning the division. If NC State wins, they're also probably winning the division. They'd have to go through Wake Forest, too. But the winner of this game is probably for the ACC. What is it, Coastal? Or the Atlantic. For the ACC. So this is pretty much for the division, if you ask me. Most likely. NC State, definitely a defense-first team. Clemson's defense has looked suspect. Especially in that Wake Forest game, they looked suspect. But I don't think NC State can air it out like Wake Forest can. My pick is Clemson. I think these teams are about even talent-wise. Maybe Clemson's a little bit better, but they're at home, and they just won that big game against Wake Forest, and then they're going to do it again, especially since they're at home. Game day's coming. I just don't see it. I think NC State can pull it out, but I don't think it's going to happen. My confidence is with Clemson. So these are my picks. I know a lot of you are going to be upset about the Arkansas pick, but I really hope it happens. I think it can. But have a good day, everyone. I'll see you around.